Whatever happened to Dan Bilzerian? The downfall of Dan Bilzerian might seem like a simple case of somebody who just faked their way to the top, but if you're not familiar, there's much more to this story, including the FBI and a major scandal. Throughout the 2010s, Dan Bilzerian became one of the biggest influencers in the entire world for flaunting his extravagant lifestyle, hanging out with supermodels, and overall just doing things that most dudes wish they could do. Eventually, he would launch his company Ignite, but little did he know this would be the beginning of the end. After a bad year, he decided to fire his VP, who then turned around and sued him and Ignite for wrongful termination. In court, this ex-VP would air out all of the problems with the company, including that Dan's lifestyle is not real at all. His multi-million-dollar mansion was simply rented because he couldn't afford it, and this is when people began to peel back the layers of what was really going on. But the company magically started to improve, which would ultimately lead the FBI to get involved, and what they found would begin the avalanche that would end Dan Bilzerian's career. Like and follow for part 2.
When I heard this was going to be a divisive movie, I assumed that some would like it and others would not. I didn't expect to battle internally with myself over whether I'm a fan of it or not. So let's talk about it. Spoiler free, of course. I'm Ian Van Gool, your horror movie hype man. If you love horror movies, then smash that follow button. And today, we're talking about Cuckoo. A 17-year-old girl is forced to move with her family to a resort where things are not what they seem. So we're heading straight into the positives for this one. The first half of it is fantastic. There's mystery to it, there's suspense, there's a couple creepy scenes, and some what the fuck moments. I was into it. The acting is great. Hunter Schafer and Dan Stevens, they both kill it in their roles, but the entire cast is pretty solid. The cinematography is great. The entire movie is made really well. Now the second half is where it started to lose me. The story itself is pretty original, and I enjoyed it up until we start getting an idea of what's really going on. From there, it started dragging, and it just got silly. By the end, it felt like something you'd see on an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something similar. Again, it's a very well-made movie, and I think it's a good movie overall, but it was riding high for a while for me, and then it just took a nosedive. Now that's just my thoughts and feelings after watching it one time, and I'm hoping it's a movie that I enjoy the whole way through on a rewatch. But please don't let my thoughts on it deter you from going to see it. Go see it, form your own opinion on it, and I hope you love it. Cuckoo is currently in theaters. If you've seen it, then let me know your spoiler-free thoughts in the comments. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
This Paris situation just got even worse. Immediately after billions of people chose to laugh at Jesus Christ at the Olympics, some pretty insane things have been happening in Paris. New information has just emerged about how an Olympic surfer was told to remove his picture of Jesus from his board, or else he'd be disqualified from the competition. There is more to the story, but first, did you see the footage of the total blackout of the city of Paris the night after the opening ceremony? You tell me, is this a coincidence? Because one thing no one can deny, and it's this: Christians will not be silent. Thousands of believers arrived on the streets of Paris on Sunday, praising the name of Jesus Christ. And I am going to make a strong statement now. I believe millions are currently boycotting the Olympics, and I want to know, are you one of them? If you are, please tell me in the comments, and if you are new to the channel, please do subscribe.
Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, said that it can only get another season under certain conditions. Alex Hirsch the other day just uploaded this story to his Instagram of him using Seuss as a puppet, pretty much talking about how greedy Disney is, talking about how they are billionaires, and their animators barely get paid enough to just barely make it by. And if y'all do not know, Alex Hirsch does not own Gravity Falls anymore. That's owned by Disney. Right now, Alex Hirsch is currently working with a protest called the Stand With Animation protest. They're standing shoulder to shoulder, and they want their demands to be met for a fair deal for the human beings who create the worlds and characters we all love. I completely agree with Alex Hirsch, not only in the Western community, but literally all across the world globally. Animators are severely underpaid. They're pretty much what Alex Hirsch is saying in a matter of words. Unless Disney can meet what he's demanding and what these animators deserve to be paid, because let's be honest, they're not getting paid nearly enough, he's not going to want to make another season. Even if it means that the fans want another season, he's not going to want to put an entire team through literally making ends meet, working hours on end. I guess we're going to just have to all tag Disney and try and have them be better.
Forbidden Places You're Not Allowed to Visit Part 3. The Chapel of the Ark of the Covenant is found in Ethiopia and is believed to be the final resting place of the legendary Ark of the Covenant that holds the 10 Commandments. The Ark is protected by a single high priest who is charged with its care and preservation. Interestingly, he's the only one who's allowed to actually look at the Ark and is the only one who knows exactly how to locate it within the church. The Bank of England vaults are located beneath London, England, and is the center Central Bank of the United Kingdom. It's a massive space greater than that of the third tallest building in the city, Tower 42, and takes keys 3 feet or almost a meter long to open. The near impossibility of entering this vault is necessary, as it has an estimated 156 billion pounds worth of gold deposits that reside there. The names of employees working at the vaults are kept secret.
The Gould family and I are off to New York City for the next few days, so there was no better time than now to revisit this 1980 slasher. I'm Ian Van Gool, your horror movie hype man. If you love horror movies, then you better hit that follow button. And today, we're talking about Maniac. A psychopath goes on a killing and mutilation spree in New York City. Now, I know this movie is well known and talked about, but I still say it's one of the best, most underrated, and disturbing serial killer movies. It hooks you in from the opening scene and you stay locked in and anxious, waiting to see what happens next. Tom Savini created the special effects, so they definitely don't disappoint. He also plays a role in one of the most memorable scenes in the film. Maniac is shocking, it's brutal, and it still holds up 44 years later. If you've never seen this classic, then I definitely recommend you check it out. It's streaming on Tubi right now. If you've seen Maniac, then let me know what you think of it. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
The Supreme Court ruling, the immunity thing. Did you hear about this?
I don't understand how the Supreme Court...
Problem is, I think we do understand it, and we're like, there's no way that's what it means.
Presidential candidates.
Right.
They can act on any official act that goes beyond the legal bounds. President is immune to any litigation or anything.
And that is crackhead ruling.
Oh, now Biden can send SEAL Team 6 to go assassinate President Trump.
And it'd be completely legal.
And it's this kid, Harry Sison, definitely bought out by the Democratic Party, but he says that he's not. He tweeted, according to the Supreme Court, Biden can now send SEAL Team 6 to take them out. He could send the military to take out Trump. It's actually exactly what Vladimir Putin has done, like for himself, has made these laws and regulations that protects him and keeps him president forever.
It's like now any president could be a felon.
It doesn't make any sense. It's craziness. Why, in a country so esteemed in the world, with hundreds of millions of people living in it, are we reduced to this pairing? But also now opening ourselves up to more liability in the future that anybody that can run can be a felon. Why would we elect that?
After a child went missing for 11 days, this is the moment when everyone held their breath. It was August 2014. Karina Chikitova was 4 years old, living in the Sakha Republic in Russia. She loved dogs and spent a lot of her time with the puppies in the local area. One she took a particular shine to was an Alsatian named Neida. On the day in question, Karina was outside and her mum was indoors doing her daily tasks. It was a pretty safe community and the family felt comfortable letting little Karina play outside on her own. Now Karina at this point saw her dad heading out of the village, so she tried to run up to catch up with him. However, she just simply couldn't keep up. She was a very, very little girl. Soon, he was out of sight and she was lost. Although it was summer in the Siberian wilderness, it got increasingly colder towards the evening. As day turned to night, the temperature plummeted below zero. There was also the added danger of wolves and bears in the forest. Now, Karina's mum and nan suddenly noticed that the child had vanished. They were obviously concerned, but they actually at this point presumed that Karina had gone with her dad. They were horrified later that night when the dad came home without the little girl. Like something from a Disney film though, Neida the dog stayed close by the side of Karina. The dog made sure to keep the little girl warm during the harsh nights. The pair both got drinking water from the rivers. Meanwhile, a huge search was underway for the child. 100 volunteers banded together to scour the local area for any sign of her. They even used helicopters, but after 9 days, there was still no sign. Her family feared the worst. Suddenly, though, the dog came back to the village. Neida led the villagers to where the pair had been. However, the dog seemed confused and lost, but was clearly trying to tell everybody something. It wasn't until day 12 that they had a shock. In amongst some grass, they spotted the arms of a child. It was Karina, nestled in to try and keep warm. She was thin and covered in insect bites, but miraculously she had survived. She was rushed to hospital and received urgent medical care. She also told the adults of how the dog had protected her from the harsh weather conditions and the wildlife. A statue of the pair was erected in the city to celebrate the amazing survival story.
This is the most insane documentary I've seen this year by far. It's based on a true crime case I'd never heard of before, one that had me visibly shocked throughout the entire runtime. My name's Rookie, I love documentaries, and this is American Nightmare. So this is a new documentary series on Netflix that was released this year, and I binge watched the entire thing in one night. I don't want to give you any details about this plot that isn't in the summary above my head, but as you can see, this is a film about a home invasion and a kidnapping, and the incident itself was dubbed in the press as the real-life Gone Girl case. So when it comes to horror movies, I don't think that Netflix is the greatest platform for horror. In fact, I rarely watch horror movies on Netflix, but I do watch a lot of documentaries on Netflix, and I think that Netflix are very good at making documentaries. And I think that they're one of the best distributors for documentaries as well. And I think American Nightmare is just another case where Netflix have knocked it out the park when it comes to documentaries. So the documentary itself puts you through so many different emotions. The documentary is quite powerful in points where it can make you angry, and it can make you really quite sad as well. But it's also confusing and shocking. When you watch this documentary, you will realize that this, or certain parts of this, could have been prevented. And the way that certain people were treated in this situation is abhorrent. But this is a truly insane story. It is wild. And we can't help but feel absolutely awful for everybody involved. So I have a 2-year-old and I have to get up really early for work. So at night, when it comes to watching films, we only either get through one film or one episode of a documentary series. But this documentary was so good that we watched the entire thing in one night. Go watch this documentary. I loved it. It is the most insane documentary I've watched this year.
Have you guys ever heard of Ethan Couch, the teenager that killed 4 people but got away with it because it was determined that he was just too rich to go to jail? It was June 15th, 2013, the day before Father's Day. 24-year-old Brianna Mitchell's car broke down on the side of the road right in front of the home of Eric and Holly Boyles. Their 21-year-old daughter Shelby was also at her parents' house. It was summer break, so she was there visiting them, especially since the next day was Father's Day. So all 3 of them came outside of their house to help Brianna with her broken down vehicle. And at the same time, youth pastor Brian Jennings was also driving down the same road, and he also pulled over to help. These were just good Samaritans just trying to help out a 24-year-old girl whose SUV had broken down when Ethan Couch came barreling down the road. So who is Ethan Couch? Ethan Couch is a spoiled, wealthy, entitled 16-year-old boy who had little to no parental supervision. That evening, Ethan and his friends decided to go to Walmart to steal beer. They had a huge party at Ethan's house. They're drinking beer, taking shots, playing games before Ethan decides that he's going to drive to a convenience store. Ethan and 7 other teenagers loaded into the back of Ethan's dad's truck. They're driving down the road. Ethan is speeding. He's swerving lanes. He's playing chicken with other cars in the road before swerving onto the shoulder and running over Brianna Mitchell, Pastor Brian Jennings, and Shelby and Holly Boyles. All 4 people did tragically pass away, and one of Ethan's friends was ejected from his vehicle and is now permanently paralyzed. He's unable to speak or move at all. And 16-year-old Ethan fled the scene. He just took off, but I guess he was so intoxicated he passed out drunk in a nearby ditch. It was determined that not only was Ethan using substances that night, but he was 3 times the legal limit when he crashed that car. Ethan was arrested. He was being charged as an adult, and they were seeking 20 years in prison. But get this, Ethan had some fancy lawyers that his rich parents paid for, and their defense strategy was that Ethan was suffering from affluenza, meaning that he was too rich to know right from wrong, so he could not be held responsible for this. And it worked. It worked, guys. Talk about rich white privilege, right? Ethan got away with killing 4 people and paralyzing someone for the rest of their lives and walked away with only probation. And he had to spend a teeny bit of time in a fancy, really fancy, nice rehab center that, guess what, was paid for by taxpayers' money, meaning that you paid for that. And after being released from rehab, Ethan went right back to partying. Ethan went to little house parties with his little high school friends, and videos of him partying were posted on social media, which was a huge violation of his probation. So Ethan knew that he was going to get in a lot of trouble. So guess what Ethan did? Just talk about great parenting, right? Ethan convinced his mom to flee the country to Mexico, where Ethan continued to party. He was only found and arrested after he placed a pizza delivery order from his cell phone because I guess he's also too rich and too dumb to know that they could track his cell phone if you flee the country. After violating his probation and also fleeing the country, Ethan Couch was only sentenced to serve 2 years in prison before being released. So Ethan Couch is free right now. Spent 2 years in prison for killing 4 people, permanently paralyzing someone, violating his probation, and fleeing the country. It's also worth noting that affluenza is not something that is recognized as a real condition or a real defense strategy. This was just made up, and it's really upsetting because it now sets a precedent that other people will be able to use this in the future. Please let me know all your thoughts on this case in the comments, you guys, and I'm sure you guys' opinions are going to be really, really strong, and trust me, I'm right there with you. This is extremely, extremely frustrating. While you're in the comments, please tell me what case you want to see me cover next. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you tomorrow.
They call him the Deadpool killer, the Joker. People want to be his Harley Quinn. But when Wade shows up to court with his new suit, new haircut, and new face tattoos, his attorney sits down next to him, takes one look at the side of Wade's face, and he looks genuinely disgusted by his own client. He shakes his head and he whispers to the co-counsel, and he just looks grossed out. Now, that moment of the attorney being disgusted by his own client has gone viral online, as well as another moment that Wade shares with another one of his attorneys, a blonde female attorney. He is leaning closer to whisper something, which is kind of what you do in court. You can't really speak loudly, but that moment has been romanticized by some people on TikTok because they keep comparing this scene to the scene of Harley Quinn and Joker from Suicide Squad. It's likely that some of these netizens have a sexual interest in those who commit crimes. It usually manifests in those who believe that they can change someone, that someone is so evil and is so willing to kill, but they will go to the ends of the earth to, I guess, protect the ones that they love, that only they can heal the inner child of the killer and nurture them. They think that they're living in their own dark romance novel, but no, you're living in a true crime documentary because you're gonna be next.